One who is the important one. He's our climate editor.
Very
but
important.
two is the man with the best shirt on BBC Breakfast this morning. So that's an unofficial title, Justin, but I've just awarded it to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Charlie. Yeah, I'm very proud to have it. And I'm here in my garden in North London. And it's very delightful, I must say, sitting here in the warmth of the morning.
How's it faring there, Justin? Because loads of people have said, you know, gardening's really difficult.
You want to have a look at the moment? Maggie?
I'd love to. I really would. I was hinting towards it, but I didn't want to invade. I didn't want to invade your privacy.
Regular breakfast viewers will probably remember, I hope, my pond that we got in last year. Look at that. It's really flourishing. There's, in fact, a little frog. You won't be able to see it. There's a frog at the back there. And look, the guinea pigs are out.
Oh.
Enjoying the grass. Can you see them?
Names,
yeah,
Justin? Names of the guinea pigs?
Oh, they're called, it's called jalebi, and I think the other one's called gulab jamun. They're Indian sweets.
Yeah, they're both Indian sweets. Lovely, lovely names. Like, I'm sure they have very sweet natures.
Names, aren't they? Good guinea pig names. Lots
of people have been getting in touch and kind of saying, all you do is talk about the weather. It's summer. It's hot. Get over it, OK? We're sick of it. It's summer. We've had summers for years. What would you say to them?
I mean, yeah, Naga, of course, we get hot weather. That is, as your correspondents say, that is what summer is, hot weather. But the weather has been exceptionally hot. I mean, just remember that heat wave we had at the end of July, the record-breaking heat wave. The record temperature prior to that was 38.7 degrees Celsius recorded in Cambridge. More than 30, in fact, weather stations smashed that record, beat that record. The highest temperature recorded ever in Britain, ever recorded, 40.3 in Coningsby in Lincolnshire. And that tells you what's happening. Yes, it's hot, but it's getting hotter. And scientists say that heat wave was 2 to 4 degrees Celsius hotter than it would have been without climate change. They say without climate change, the temperatures we saw back at the end of July would have been, and I quote, almost impossible. So yes, it's hot, but it's getting hotter.
And Justin, the temperature's one thing. What about the drought situation? And if people are old enough, they will remember the drought, 1976. I can remember that. And how if you do, is it silly to do comparisons? And where does this sit in relation to the problems it's causing?
We've got it's really interesting, the comparison with 76. I think it is relevant, and it's always relevant to sort of, you know, put these things in context. So like 76, we've had a really dry spring and now a very dry summer. The difference with 76 is they had a dry winter beforehand. So they went into spring and summer already with low levels in the reservoirs and the rivers. We actually had a fairly normal winter that topped up reservoir levels, topped up the rivers. So actually we're coming into this drought in a better situation than 76. But the fear is, and this is what the Environment Agency is saying, they're looking ahead to winter. It'll take weeks, months to get water levels back to what they should be. And they're worried about winter. If we have a dry winter, we go into next year already in drought, and then we could be in even more trouble.
Let's see. This is a question from Paul Wagland, and this is kind of ties up a couple of things we've been talking about. Paul asks, what rainfall and temperature records have been broken in 2022? And I think you've referenced a couple of those already. I
have. This is a bit like a quiz, isn't it? I feel like I'm a mastermind or something. We had the record heat wave in July, and we've got a very hot kind of heat wave now, but it's not record breaking. Across the whole of England, July was the driest July since 1935, and another record is in the southeast. We've seen 145 days with little or no rain, and that again is a record that goes back to the 1970s. So a number of records being broken. Basically, the message is it's hot and it's very, very dry.
You know what, Justin? There is a lot of frustration out there. OK, we accept the weather at the moment is here and it's doing its thing. When it comes to infrastructure and how this country copes, how we cope in this country, there is frustration. And we've spoken to water companies on this programme, spoken about what they're doing. Mikey, PB, has said, if water companies are making billions of pounds of profit, why are we still losing water in leaks every day? So they're making money, but they're not fixing the leaks fast enough. And they've given us various reasons for that, haven't they?
They have, and it is, I mean, it's shocking when you look at the figures. 20% of our water supply is leaked into the ground every day. It's billions of litres. I think it's 1,200 Olympic swimming pools draining into the ground every day. And now but it is a complicated balance because fixing leaks is very expensive. And if the water companies spend lots of money fixing leaks, you know where it's going to end up. It's going to end up on your bill. So the balance is between how much water they leak and how much it costs to fix them. The water industry says it would be extortionate, absolutely astronomical to fix all the leaks. They say they can't do that. So we've got to get this balance right. What the regulator says is they've got to halve the number of leaks by 2050. And apparently the regulator and the industry say they're on target to do that. So they claim they're improving their behavior, but that they don't want to spend too much money because we'll end up paying the bill if they do too much. So it's a tricky one, leaks. It's quite complicated.
And can I ask you, Justin, I mean, there are countries in the world that routinely and for many years, if you like, have dealt with lack of water. So where do we look? If we assume that we've got a situation going forward where this is going to become routine, our summers will be like this. If we take that assumption, where do we look for kind of infrastructure patterns that can help us deal with what lies ahead?
Well, we're not there yet, but we're kind of looking more towards, I guess, somewhere like the south of France, where you get much longer periods of dry weather, where the infrastructure is geared up to, not having rain. I mean, that would mean things like probably having bigger reservoirs. But the other key thing is we actually use a lot of water in the UK. So the average water use in the UK is 155 litres a day. In Denmark, where they've had a huge effort to reduce water consumption, they use just 104 litres a day on average. So one of the things we could do is all use a little less water. And that's the clear message, isn't it? Coming from the Environment Agency and government at the moment. We're in a drought. We should use less water. Don't have baths, have showers, turn off the tap, all that kind of stuff. All those kind of messages coming through. If we did that all the time, we could probably cope with drier weather even better than we are now. And I just should say, on the comparison with 76, one thing that the government and the water industry say is, look, we're not expecting there to be any standpipes in the street. Do you remember that, when people were filling their kettles from standpipes in the street? No water rationing. They're saying the supply to your home shouldn't be affected by this, but we're expecting more hosepipe bans and possibly even bans. The water companies can actually ban you from washing your car. That may happen later this summer.
I think also, having been there at the time, I think, Justin, your shirt would have worked in 1976, just as it is now. I think it would have crossed both territories.
Now, I vaguely remember 76, Charlie, and I do remember this. There was a plague of biting ladybirds. Do you remember that?
Yes. No, you're absolutely right.
But I remember being bitten by them and being really shocked that ladybirds could give you painful bites.
Yeah. It's nice watching you.
I don't know whether ladybirds are coming. I don't know whether any viewers have been attacked by ladybirds recently.
We'll find out. People, it's the kind of thing you put out there, and we will get told by our audience now. They'll say, yeah, I remember that. He's absolutely right. Good to catch up with you. Lovely garden. Enjoy the rest of your morning.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Have a good one, Justin. Bye.